Yes, we're getting going here. This is our Back It Up YouTube series. We got a special guest in Jordan Stevens, Ivy League guy represent. It's good to have another on the show. We brought our Ivy League polos on the episode today. We wanted to make sure to class it up for you, so that way, we weren't underdressed.
I'm rocking an FDNY t-shirt here, so I think I'm a little.
Let's go.
No, respect. Yeah, respect. Tell us more about that. Where'd you get that from?
So this is from Ray Downey was a former chief of the Deer Park Fire Department on Long Island. Passed away in 9/11. My uncle took over for him as chief after he passed. And there's a Father's Day walk or 5K walk and run for him every year. So we've been doing that for a while, for quite a while. So near and dear to the heart. My dad used to be a fireman before he just moved on to a different career. My brother's a cop, so we've got plenty of that in the family. But I was trying to hide it as maybe a little bit of Cornell red, but it was stuck under there. So
I'm glad you brought it out. That's good stuff.
Yep.
You got some real blue collar Ivy in you, unlike Corey. You've got the real blue collar Ivy.
Yeah, we'll see how it comes out. I think so. We'll see how the rest of the episode goes.
Cool.
Yeah, I just talk the talk.
Well, that's not true. That's not true, especially when you meet your father. But Jordan, question: seeing this is the how you doing portion. We got to know how you say how you doing.
Wow, that was very Long Island-y of you. Being in upstate for like 10 years, I've kind of had my accent beat out of me. So I probably could get it out a couple different ways. But how you doing?
Nice. Well played.
That was like classy. That was just
Well, there's the Ivy League spin on it too.
Both sides of it. I am who I am, guys. I am who I am.
Respect.
Yeah, let's dive into what the Big Red – basically what you guys are doing with the program just to kind of stay connected and move through to kind of these tough times here.
Yeah, so obviously we had everybody dealt with the season ending, the emotions that come with it. And then on top of that, we had our former head coach, Pete, move on. All the love and respect to him. He was a big part of why I'm back at Cornell, so I wish him well. But Connor and I, moving forward, have been staying in touch with our team, making sure that we put those relationships first, doing what we can to make sure everybody feels like they're involved and a priority through this time. It's pretty easy for everybody to just feel separated, man. Even if you are a part of such a great group like we all are fortunate enough to be, you can definitely feel separated now more than ever. So doing our best to put the time and energy into the relationships within our team, within our future players as well, the families beyond them too, just making sure that we can make everybody feel involved and feel like we're moving forward together. I think we've been doing a pretty good job of that. Connor and I were definitely an important part of how our program was operating for the last few years. And we're just excited to move forward. So outside of being in touch with our team consistently and handling things from that side, we've been working on the interview process to find who we're going to round out our staff with. So that's been kind of the bulk of the work that we've been doing. On top of that, some recruiting here and there, but I'm sure we'll get to that. That's obviously a little bit limited now in terms of what exposure we can have and how much what's actually actionable, what we can actually get done. So I feel as if we've been pretty productive. We want to make sure that we're challenging ourselves and doing our best not to stay stagnant and evolve and adapt where we need to. I think we're learning a bit. The first couple of weeks were definitely a little bit of a whirlwind, but I think that would be anybody in any situation there. So I feel like we're moving forward. And at the end of the day, we're just excited and hopeful that fall looks as close to normal as we can get it. Consider your consumer base or customer base. You guys have been, I think, doing a pretty good job.
Cool, man.
Did he pay you to say that, Jordan?
No, I thought an Ivy League comment was coming because he said
checks in the mail. I'll let you know.
Well, this is why you big-timed me, Corey, for the phone call with Jordan at 2. This is why you were on that, because he was going to plug you during our show.
I'll give you the
that was my bad, actually. We are late because of me. I was on the phone, but I'll eat that one. Check.
No, it's not your fault. It's all Corey.
We just knew Slippo was going to be there, so we just said, hey, we'll big time him. Screw him.
Classic D1 guys, right, John? Classic. Well, let's move it. Let's see this drill, Jordan.
This was from one of our last practices of the year. I want to say we were coming out of Ohio State, preparing for Penn State. We just got our butts kicked on the face-off. And honestly, I think, Mike, you guys played Ohio State. I remember watching that film.
Yeah.
before their game. Their face-off and wing play was unbelievable. We got beat up on the face-off really bad, and it wasn't necessarily a face-off problem. It was the post-face-off play that whether we lost them, we gave up transition, and then the ones that we did have a chance at, those three guys just beat us. So this is a drill that's tweaked a little bit from how we normally do it, but it came from that thought of that weakness where we struggled in our wing play, but then specifically our transition game was something that we we're looking to develop a little bit further. Just the way that we kind of lay out our season and plan as coaches. We were in that phase where we were making a push to become a better transition team. And this drill for us focused just on those two things. Like any drill or any piece of lacrosse, you can have different focuses doing the same thing. But just looking at it, hopefully you guys can just get a sense for where we're coming from.
Yes.
Go Cough Field.
Go, baby. No, you can still see a little bit of the snow piled up on the side.
Oh yeah, we didn't have a turf field when I was at Ithaca all 4 years, so we used to practice at Showcoff from 7 to 9 or 9 to 11 in February. So it's a wind tunnel.
Wind tunnel for sure. You can see this little bit of area here that's called the sun. We get that every now and then up there. But, so set up with the drill. We've got balls coming from the coach dead center. You can see between the hashes right there, and we've got 3 lines of offense and 2 lines of defense on the far side. We've got 1 of each on the near side. Those guys on the near side are released whenever the ball is picked up. So pretty similar to our goal here is just to scramble the field a little bit. Scramble drills are obviously something that, quite a few people do. We just wanted to disorient the shape or set up a little bit so we could get some of that transition work that we were talking about. On top of it, obviously the ground ball is somewhat similar to wing play, not perfect. We had done some other things coming out of that Ohio State game to work on that too. But from this, it just goes right to a 4-on-3. So we're looking for a good ground ball scrap. We're looking for, if the offense picks it up, they obviously have a 4-on-3 opportunity. We're looking for in a quick, efficient way to take advantage of that, getting the best shot that we can from dead center on top of the crease ideally, but we'll see what we can get. Defensively, obviously you got to clear, but at that point you're even. You don't have the natural advantage of having the goalie as an extra player. So those guys got to work hard. You can have different focus points at different times for any drill. There's been times where we use this one as a clearing drill where you just got to get out 4-on-4. You get 4-on-4 including your goalie. So I'll run through a couple of these, make a couple points wherever you guys see fit. Let me know if you want to stop. But so from there, those guys release, gets to a quick 4-on-3. From an offensive perspective, we just want these guys to work to get to the front of the net. So I'd say, if anything, these guys do a good job finding a skip lane right here. But whoever this is, that lefty on the low spot there, right, at the end of the day, this just got distilled down to a 2-on-1 right in front of the net. So defensively, obviously, there's ways where, we don't want to allow that skip pass, but it's a 4-on-3. Some of that's going to happen. This guy's got to work his way towards the front of the net. And I'd say just obviously the result is he gets the shot saved. But I think he should do it a little more aggressively, right? If he steps into this space right here, he's going to increase the angle on a shot, but he's going to force this defender to play him too. That's going to leave either a better shot or the back pipe opportunity. At the end of the day, lacrosse can be, once you draw a slide, all lacrosse can be distilled down to this 2-on-1. So just taking advantage of that as efficiently as we can. So that goes right to this clear. This guy's got to get out. At the end of the day, this isn't as much clearing patterns as it is just kind of getting the heart to get it over the midline. We don't get it there, and to be able to the effort on that one, but we'll hopefully see some better ones.
Jordan, do you find that because it's even, you guys end up like punt return clearing most of the time?
Sometimes, yeah, for sure. And if anything, we want to work on sometimes like your short sticks are going to have to do that. Obviously, it's not ideal. You want to work a clearing pattern and find space and find a 2-on-1. But, at some point you got to grab it and you got to get it over the midline.
Right.
But on top of that, we want to make sure that we work on, for the other guys, timing up your cut, getting open at the right time. Right. So if I remember correctly, there might be one coming up here like that.
Still good stick handling for him to go 1-on-1 and do all that stuff. I love that stuff. That helps you in transition, like you said, when you come out of that scrum and you got to carry and the balls get tighter.
So another one here where good ground ball play, offense ends up getting it. I think this guy actually does a pretty good job attacking the space that's going to make this defenseman commit. he steps right to the middle. Maybe he's not going to shoot, but this defenseman makes a good play, knocks that thing down. Another fight for the ground ball. Corey, that's your boy, Gavin Adler. Here's one where this guy ends up basically just making a tough play. I mean, is that a perfect clear on a whiteboard? No, but he's a senior captain that's going to run the ball over the midline. Like, we're not going to tell him not to do that.
Got to make tough plays.
Yeah, for sure. I love that kid, man. He's tough. So same thing from there. You can see these guys release once the ball is picked up. Good play defensively from this kid here. We're definitely really tight in this 4-on-3, which isn't the worst thing in the world. But he plays the shooting lane really well. Eats that shot, which is great. So
can you run that back? I actually was going to ask you about the defense here. Like, are you kind of letting these guys like feel it out and talk through it? Do you want them to kind of scrape? Because I've seen like some rotations. This one, obviously, he's scraping back because these guys aren't super aggressive up top. Like, are you kind of giving the guys the freedom to talk through it, or do you want them to play it a certain way?
So the way that I've coached transition defense and the way that I was taught it is you've got a certain number of guys, and that determines your shape, right?
Yep.
So if you got 3, you get in a triangle. More often than not, if it's a 4-on-3, the best way to defend it is a triangle. But if it's a 6-on-3, that the best way to defend it is in a triangle too. So right off the bat, any scrambled situation, we need our goalie and back line. How many guys do we got? 3-3-3, 4-4-4. Right off the bat, that should give us some sense of how we're going to play this for as long as we need to, right? In this situation, we'd have somebody coming from the midline or, from wherever they were until we get back to being numbered up. But to your point, I want to make sure that these guys understand what's going on and they can make the decisions from there. Obviously, ideally, you have guys in the field who have the IQ to make those decisions. But this guy up top, you can see here, you're right, he ends up scraping these a little bit or holding it, however you want to say it. But if you're reading the body language of these two guys up top, they're definitely not threatening, right? They're within shooting range for sure, but their shoulders are square to each other. Film looks a little average. I can't really tell the numbers, but they don't jump off the field to some of our best shooters. So I'll defer to the guy in the drill right there and say that he's reading body language. I think he does a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Once he steps in, he's got to play him. So for us, the language that we use is fill or hold. Just like anybody, man. Like transition defense, you've got how many guys do you have? Don't play anything until it's a threat. And then once you do, rotate through the shooting lane, right? We want to make sure that we do our best to do that. I love it, man. This kid eats it. Like I said, not the best finish to the play, but definitely a good ride from that guy on the other side.
I like that question, Joe, because at the youth level, a huge issue is over-rotating defensively and then also sliding in transition upfield way too early, and then also throwing stick checks when you're playing transition defense is super common. So, like, just the poise, the discipline, the shape, the tightness, and then, like, eating a shot, I mean, that's kind of rare at the youth level. So, like, seeing those things are so high level from my perspective.
Yeah. Jordan, what I love too about the shape, we teach it the same way. I always say to our guys in transition defense, like, we're at a disadvantage if they have more guys. We got to control what we can. We can control what shape we're in, right? Like, we control how many guys we have, so that puts us in a shape. And then, like you said, if we were doing this, I'd say, sure, we want to rotate or hold. So, like, I tell our guys, you got to be able to make decisions. I don't want you to play every single one the same. They're not all the same.
Hey, Jordan, do you ever run this drill where you're clearing and then things are happening on the opposite end of the field? Or you kind of keep this as just like a half field drill?
We've done something where we'll move the far goal up to that like X mark on the 35, I think it is, where the defenders have to not just get over the midline, but go handle the ball and score. That one becomes a little more of I don't say a bloodbath, but the ball is going back and forth a lot at that point. But it's good, man. Like, that's a toughness drill. That's definitely something that honestly one of the drills that we've done consistently from my time in college at Cornell, even through now, is that specifically. We call it 54 ground balls. It's a bloodbath, but it is a toughness building drill. So this is a little more direct version where we're trying to get better at something specific. That one is kind of like I said before, just you got to grab it and get it over the midline sometimes. But
I like that. It gives the defense like an option to score, and work on those stick work. Motivates them a little bit in that sense. That's cool. I like that.
definitely. This is a great job of getting in front of the cage, better than the first one that I was talking about. This guy steps in front, doesn't get hit, but he probably should, and he still finds a way to finish it. Another really good ride here. I think this one turns right into a goal.
Yeah, doing a great job getting in front of them, not trying to take the ball away, doing a great job getting in front of them and forcing the roll back, or, you get it. It's really good. Awesome footwork.
And great poise on the finish, too.
Yeah, this is just this is probably as fundamental as it gets.
Yeah,
Turn
exactly.
back. Hopefully they're talking about this one. It looks like they are. This guy, again, finishes across the front of the cage. There's nobody here to hit him, obviously, but good poise, makes the goalie move. Good job settling that one down on defense. Gets a piece of that one, goes to the shooting lane, but it's a good shot. Put it home, you put it home.
Love the scrap.
Yeah, a little bit of what I was talking about, where we were just trying to disorient things a little bit. This is one of the first ones that I've noticed where the ground ball just kind of ends up in an unusual spot. This is what we were hoping for, that from this point, there's that rush from behind the net. How do you steal space on defense? How do you take advantage of space on offense? Obviously, this guy from the top down does a good job getting in. Solid job keeping the shape there. Good find. You definitely got to put that guy down right there. But I thought that was pretty good lacrosse on both sides.
That was great. That was a great drill.
That was great.
Yeah,
thanks for drill.
Not something that by any means is groundbreaking. Just our interpretation of it, and hopefully it's some good insight.
Well, you'll do that on both sides and different variations of that.
Yeah, we'll do it on both sides. Just change the spot up. We'll do it inside out, where you start the guys in what we call the heart, and just say you can't leave until the whistle blows. So those can become a little more of a bloodbath in front of the net in terms of the ground ball, but those are good too. I mean, shot save and a rebound goes out, you got to react to the ball and be able to do that. But
yeah, I like why you did that drill, because like some things that maybe spectators or younger kids or fans or whatever, or parents like don't know is like how you guys approach your season. So if like something goes incredibly wrong in a game, like how you guys prepare the next week could be completely different if something goes incredibly right. So I think that's really interesting perspective of like just why you're doing that drill.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, every staff and every coach has like a timeline of how they want to, or how and when they want to teach things. But you got to be adaptive. If we say that day, our plan was to, put in like a zone offense and a zone defense because that was on paper, but we stunk so bad last week at something that we have to adjust. Like, you just got to be able to be fluid, but stick to who you are at the same time. It's a balance, man. Everybody's got their own version of it.
Yeah.
I think part of that too, not to delay us anymore, but is like how good the coaching is at our level. With like somebody sees something that you stink at, they are going to attack that the next week. Right. So you can't move on and add new stuff without fixing the stuff that popped up.
Yep.
To your point, Jordan, right? Like, I mean, I know Ohio State, probably pretty hard to replicate that sort of like rope unit in the middle of the field, but if people feel like they can generate an advantage in that area, right, you can't move on to zone whatever if you don't fix something that popped up and hurt you in a previous week.
Yeah, we've, especially for us and just the way our preseason schedule works out, where we can't start for practice until February 1st. I mean, we get some sessions before that, but full team practice, we start February 1st, and I think our first game, this Albany game, might have been the 15th, if I remember correctly, or maybe the 14th. We got to really stick to our priorities, and we got to make sure that we know our identity as a team. We know how that identity transfers to between the lines. And we got to almost we went into this Albany game knowing that there was so much that we had not covered. But who are we? How is that going to help us win a lacrosse game? Let's stick to that stuff. And hopefully you guys see that. I mean, it's not, I said this to Corey when he asked, what would be a good game? The Albany game won't exactly be pretty. It's not, it's February lacrosse in upstate New York. It's a little sloppy, but hopefully you guys can get a sense of who we're trying to be or trying to build to be at that point.
Yeah, you said it, man. What's your identity? Stick to that, believe in it, because it helps your kids. If your guys know what your identity is, then whenever something goes right or goes wrong, you can always fall back to your identity and how to build off from that. So really, really well spoken. Awesome.
And nobody's going to be good at everything. So
no doubt.
be good at what you care about. So
no doubt.
Be good at what you care about.
Less is more. All right, well, let's dive into this this upstate battle, God's country battle then, huh? Yeah,
they
tough
ended up
kid.
getting this one, which at the end of the day, I'm sure they were obviously happy with. Kind of crazy first second of the game. So that's the first 15 seconds of the game right there.
We got our first dive backup 26 seconds into the season. Let's go.
Back it up. Yeah, back it up.
Talk about getting your blood pressure up right away. I thought we had that one in terms of the end line, but we're defending here, man. We knew that going into this game. You could say what you want about Albany and how they play, man. They are a good coach. They are a good team, and they are coached really, really well every year. They probably exemplify what we were just talking about, of knowing your identity and just sticking to it. They don't care about what they don't care about. So we knew they were going to attack us from the wings, just what we were planning on. They get the ball to one here. We do a pretty good job getting to his hands. Ball pressure covers up quite a bit. This one was great, man. We went into this knowing that they were going to attack us with pick play from the wings, and we wanted to be aggressive if they brought two poles to it. So
that's the scheme right here. You're talking about this all week.
Yeah. Just I mean, if you don't mind pausing it, I'll probably be able to explain it quickly. Yeah, our defense and how the identity and the mindset that we want to have, it revolves around being unified. And we say that comes from our fundamentals, right? We play a certain way. There's a certain few fundamentals that we pick that, this is what we do. We, always, you're always going to be able to fall back on that your teammates are doing it. You're doing it. It's going to provide some unity, like I said. And then the second piece of it is we want to find opportunities to be aggressive. It's not like a junk defense or anything that, we aren't playing a fundamental brand. Like I said, our fundamentals unify us, but you guys know this. There are too many good offensive players in college lacrosse and just in general that if you are sitting back and if you're passive for 80 seconds, you're going to be a cone that people run around to score. If you don't take the opportunity when it presents itself, like right here, to set the tone and put somebody on their heels for 10, 15 seconds or to get a turnover, they're just too good, man. Like over a game, teams and coaches are going to find a way with their talent and skill and toughness to find a way to put the ball in net enough to win. So we don't want to be at anybody else's mercy. When we can, we want to find the opportunity to set the tone and be aggressive. So we're always unified. We've always got, hopefully good off-ball positioning that you guys can see on the backside. When we can be aggressive, we want to take the chance. We want to make sure that we do it, and hopefully those fundamentals on the backside cover things up for us. So, Mike, like you were saying, we knew that they were going to bring two poles to the wing. We were going to do our best to be aggressive there, and you can even see 19 and 5 in the middle. They're ready to rotate to that slip guy because it was the next phase of what we talked about. So when we say being unified and being aggressive, we don't just want to be aggressive. We want to coach it. We want those guys to sniff out those opportunities. And if they're smelling blood, they should be able, if this kid's a great player, 17 Patterson, if he finds a way to slip that ball through to 45, 42, hopefully we're there to make that play, right? Hopefully we're smelling blood a little bit and are able to do that. They call them for a chest or a ward or something there. It is what it is. But hopefully even in just that first defensive set of the season, you see who we're trying to be with our goalie running a shot out and then playing with good fundamentals and being aggressive off the bat. Obviously this one makes it look better than maybe on the whole we are. But I think you can get a sense of our identity pretty clearly right off the bat.
That's why, our pick rules, we never set hard screens on big.
Ball transitioned over. It was kind of an odd start to this game, man. We struggled to get our footing a little bit early offensively, which is definitely unique for us. We've got a really we've had a group that's been very successful there previously, but we're working in a couple new pieces. But I'd say more than anything, Albany deserves the credit. They play good defense, man. They're simple. Like I said before, they care about what they care about, and they don't really care about much else. And they played us well. They did a pretty good job of jamming Jeff up and making sure that they were in his hands as much as possible. We get a pretty good shot there, but their goalie gobbles it up. We don't change levels. We don't I think he could attack the middle of the field, or attack the net a little bit more there, but their goalie's good. He's a good player. So this one goes back and forth a little bit early on.
Yeah, could have stayed downhill there.
But they're aggressive, and you can see here they earn a 6-on-5, right? They take advantage of it. So you're definitely right. These guys go from D to O. I think that might even be a pull there that you're –
This is the kid who set the pick on the hard screen, 42, that got double teamed to 17. So he just went D to double, down.
Yeah, he might be making his way off now, but I mean, they give that 6-on-5 a look. They take it there, and Gavin, one of our guys, does a pretty good job. If you go back a second, Mike.
Sure.
We talked about in that drill, there's 2 ways to buy time: slow play or get to hands, and he does a pretty good job of that here. So the ball moves over and then down. He senses it out. He can pull that guy over. You could see those 2 guys talking about it, and then they throw it down. And Gavin slows this down enough. He gets to hands, makes him run. Nobody's open if you're running away from the net. So that's gray area lacrosse, man.
Does a good job just gluing his stick here too.
That's Tahoka, right?
Yeah.
John's a big glue guy. Little glue goes a long way.
Yep.
Big glue guy. John is the glue guy.
Yeah. Emotionally too, Jordan.
I was going to say definitely on this out of this crew, I could sense you're the glue guy. So here, go back. That I'd say this is a missed opportunity for us. So right here, if you pause it, right about now when he gets to the goal line, every group, I like how we look off the ball, right? Our hips are all open to the ball. Everybody's got the ability to see their man in the ball. And more specifically, we're more concerned with our positioning than our matchup, right? We want to make sure that we care about the space that's important to us. We're clogging up our heart right now. They've got a couple guys outside of it. That looks pretty good to me. Now, where I think we miss a chance is this guy at the top of the crease who doesn't necessarily slide to the back of this guy's head. Again, we knew that they were going to go at us in certain different ways. This is the first game of the year for both of us. So at the end of the day, who had any idea if we were actually going to be right in terms of our scouting report? But we said that if some of our close defensemen get to the corner, we trust that we're going to be able to turn those guys back. Let's see if we can take an aggressive opportunity. So if you play it forward, 5 is getting down the back pipe. We can cover that up. I think we're just a little late to make the decision to go, and we missed that chance. It's not the worst thing in the world because we're able to actually get back.
Yeah, he scrambled really well.
Yeah,
the communication right here is awesome.
Yeah, it doesn't look great because we fall in the back of the net, but at the end of the day, man, we do a pretty good job and get that out of it. So here, we knew they were going to have a motion, go to a 3-3. We miss a skip lane here. Our shape's off. I'll tell you, it kind of looked like crap. I'll be the first to tell you that I'm always in for protecting our goalie. My hockey background says that if anybody's toes are on the crease, then they should end up on their chest or their back. But this one's stupid. We get a foul for it. We deserve it. And yeah, we got to keep fighting. At the end of the day, we make a mistake. That's life though, in lacrosse. So we end up 6-on-4 here. This is again 5 minutes into the season. So we go from that. It was a little ironic, but we get there. We do a great job. It's tough to see on the film right here, but we block the shot. He tips it. Guys get fired up on the sideline for that. That's, again, just something that's always going to be important for us. But we're obviously down a man, so we want to protect the important space.
Yeah, you got to give something up, right?
Exactly. We know we're going to give something up.
Take an extra second, bud. Relax.
The Albany guys are going drivers on the putting green here.
Yeah, right.
If you're going to start off a season, though, man, if you're going to make mistakes, you might as well do it that way. Better than putting from the tee.
True.
Sure. Very true.
So another one there where it's tough to see just because the film, I guess, is getting a little chopped up in transition. He's in the shooting lane, right? This tells it that you pause it at the perfect moment. This is saying right here that the shot's either got to go near side or it's going to hit our guy right in the face, the stick, or the chest or something.
That's interesting.
This is a little bit of box lacrosse and hockey background that we use and try to implement. But when we rotate, if you can go back here a little bit, Mike, hopefully this kid does it. You see it as he's coming across the pipe here, 34.
Mm-hmm.
He takes a step to what we call the hat or the middle, where when he's rotating across, his first step is up. That's immediately going to put him in that shooting space for this guy. Does that make sense? So
That's brilliant.
if he's going to pull it down and dodge underneath, hopefully we can get our stick out and get into him, drive him down below the pipe. But if he's going to shoot this, hopefully we're able to, as a defenseman and a goalie, cover the near pipe and the far pipe. So we do. I sound way smarter than I am right now because it works. But at the end of the day, it's a simple fundamental that we try to teach and implement that will, on the whole, add up to us being a unified group.
So if you're rotating like counterclockwise to the right side of the field, same thing. You're sliding to like that stick side to try to bait them to shoot your side.
To the middle every time before you rotate. It'll put you in the best spot to either force this guy down the alley or to take that shot. So,
and then your goalie's responsible for near pipe always.
Yep. Always. I mean, always, definitely. And at the end of the day, if he shoots at far pipe and it gets through, hopefully our goalie can save it too. Right. But as a goalie, you can see, I mean, he eats this one up. And Chase is a good goalie for sure. But and this kid's a great shooter. I thought this kid was actually great. He had a handful of points on the day. But just, again, a fundamental that hopefully you guys saw from that 4-on-3 drill. I know I didn't point it out.
Yeah.
When we're rotating, hopefully we're taking a step to the middle every time, caring about the space in the middle more than the space on the outside. And we just call it the hat, right? Let's say someone threw a hat in the middle or whatever it is. Every time we rotate around the perimeter, we want to take a step to the hat first. It's just going to put you in a better spot. It was something I was taught as a player that one of the things that I've transitioned to use as a coach that I think has been helpful. And it's just a mental thing for the guys to know that inside is more important than outside. So we transition there from that man down or 2-man down scenario, get a stop, and then get a little bit of transition out of that.
Right.
But our offense, we do a good job of being efficient, but trying to attack in all that gray space. So you can see right off the bat that 6-on-5 turns into a couple dodges here that we don't necessarily get anything out of other than John Piatelli just got a short stick. We get a good opportunity, and at the end of the day, they make a good hustle play here. We hit a pipe. We don't have backup, early season mistakes. Yep. But I think this one is probably a little on the side of being too aggressive to the point of being reckless. But just a sense for where you get that. John Piatelli, I think, is one of the more underrated players in the country. To get him on a short stick like that, we'll take that. We'll take this chance. He beats everything but the pipe. So
your off-ball play looks like a beehive.
That was
always moving.
A little bit scrambled. There's some more, I guess, organization to that than maybe it looked like on that one. But our offensive IQ that we've got is pretty unique right now. I mean, we've got some good players and good talent combined with some good coaching over the last few years. Those guys, they just know where they're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And they play hard, man. You see that Jeff, running 50 yards to get a good check. And we get a pretty good hit there too. It's, call doesn't go our way, but it is what it is.
It also didn't happen magically. We just watched it for 6 minutes in a 3-on-2 drill, how well you guys rode, right? That wasn't like it's game day, now I ride hard. You guys were doing that every single rep before.
Yeah. I mean, funny enough, this was actually before that practice, but definitely good to do it.
Tohoku loves to pass. Is that him?
Yeah. It gets a little ugly here, but it's all right. I think.
Yeah, it's lacrosse.
Yeah, no, dude, they're tough, man. They do not back down. I love playing Albany. It's always a good game, but we end up with a pretty gritty play here. So if you guys remember back, the kid who I pointed out that ran that ball over the midline in that clearing drill picks one up right here. So we get a penalty kill, and he turns this into a man up just because he holds on to this ball. He gets ragdolled a little bit, but we draw a foul. The guys get pretty fired up from this one. So.
Some GB.
Yeah,
that was a sick GB.
Yeah,
I love
you can get that kind of GB play from your short stick on man down. You're in good shape.
Yeah, you're gonna be okay.
He's one of the toughest guys that we've ever had, man. So we go from kind of the beginning of this game was a complete whirlwind. It's kind of why I recommended this one, Corey. We go from 2 men down to a turnover to man down to man up. Like this was early. There's no goals yet. I don't even think other than that pipe. We've had 2 shots on net.
Right.
Donville, who shoots like 80%, sails that one over the crossbar. Like, what the hell is going on right now? But it was a frantic start to say the least. But our guys showed pretty good resilience. Jeff's always going to give us some level of calmness just with the way that he plays. But this ended up being a great game, man. Here we get this is freshman Mikey Long. I love this kid, man, too. This is his first college game. He did not play that well. But we think he's going to be pretty special. So he gets a short stick coming out of here, and we feel like he can do something with it. But he was never really attacking there. You can tell that it's being, I don't want to say a little bit skittish, but at the end of the day, he does his job. He pushes the ball forward. He backs the ball up, and we go at this again. Same thing. He's not being too aggressive. We would like to see him be a little more aggressive, but doesn't throw a great pass. They again play good defense. They're in your hands constantly. Is that open? Yes, but if you throw the ball to Jeff in front of you, he's probably going to get it there, in a safer fashion and probably just as quick. Like I said, not Mikey's best game. He had plenty of great games after this, but like I said, for an offense for us that usually is very efficient, this was a tough start, but I think we put up 20 goals in this game. So we obviously find a groove a little bit. Right here, it's another one of those picks on the wing that, it's definitely in transition. It's not really settled, but I got on whoever this midfielder was, where we talked about this in transition too. Let's let them throw it to that pole as the slip, right? We can jump this one and just, again, find an opportunity to be aggressive. So he's a little passive there. We end up not taking advantage of this one, but Gavin is such a dog, man. He meets the ball on its arrival there. I think maybe we get away with a push in the back. Maybe he dives a little bit, but he's all over his backhand, just good fundamental ground ball play. And just because we're aggressive and we make a hell of a gutsy play right there with picking that up and throwing it forward, we're able to get that shot, which we'll take that shot today. It ends up turning into our first goal. And it's just because we have an aggressive mindset when it's appropriate. And then we play tough in the middle of the field, man. When we hit, I think it's either a helmet or a pipe here, fight for the ground ball again. Going back to my first point of we don't care about the lacrosse being pretty. There's a good example of it. And again, hopefully that's a little bit of our identity there. Like, a lot of times there's the conception that we are because we have a really high powered offense, that we're a very intricate X's and O group. Like, we are very much a square peg round hole. We'd rather just, figure it out that way. So
less is more. Yes,
sir.
Jordan, I want to ask you 1v1 principle on defense. I noticed you guys aren't V-holding when you're defending Dodgers coming from X. What's the deal there? Like, what's your philosophy?
Yeah. So that one, are you just referring to that first clip where I said when we want to slide to the back of the guy's head?
Yeah. Was he supposed to get his stick around, or do you guys play that?
There?
What's that, Joe?
Was that 45 dodging? Because I thought maybe because he was lefty.
This is 11, I think. That one specifically.
The first one from before.
I think that was 45. Yeah, I think that was 45. So I think everybody's got their own opinion on this one. Obviously, either way, it can be right. I want to give some freedom to guys there to do what they want. They know what needs to get done. They know that we have to protect the top side and turn a guy back. If you feel like you have the ability to do that with your hands and feet alone, then good for you. But at the end of the day, I want us to get the aggressive opportunity to slide to the back of the guy's head. So think about it that's the goal, right? That's the number one goal, right? If somebody's going to dodge from below the goal line against one of our close defensemen, I want to be able to make that an aggressive opportunity for us. Mm-hmm. That involves turning a guy back. That might involve a V-hold. We teach it. We coach it on how to do it. But at the end of the day, I don't want to say this is my way, you have to do it. They know the goals. They know how to get there, and they're inquisitive enough to hopefully and competitive enough to hopefully figure it out. Mm-hmm. So they know if their teammate is on the way, you better turn them back because you want to make sure that guy's got the opportunity to make a play. It's up to them to some degree. But here's a different example. So this is Big Little. And this was one of the things that we knew that we weren't super prepared for going into this because we had I think it was like 8 practices or 9 practices coming into this between snowstorms and just starting February 1st. So our instruction here if you go back a little bit, Mike, if you go back to when he's in the end zone, right around here, our instruction for our short sticks was to direct the ball. We just want to know which direction it's going so we can support from the crease. And basically, as the week went on, we had a better invert defense, but this was just one of the things that we knew it was early enough on where I wanted to keep it simple so we could remain unified and aggressive. So we wanted to direct the ball. So for our small-minded instructions early on in the season, the short stick does a great job, right? He gets them going one direction. even to the point where now you can see him like overcommit to a spot where my instructions become detrimental, right? I told him to direct
closes the gate to X. Yeah,
exactly. And like, and this was as good of a teaching clip as there is for us coming out of this game, because I said, I look at this clip, I'm like, guys, does this make sense to you? Like, does this make sense to you that you would do that? And he said, no. He's like, obviously, you know, he was doing what I was trying to tell him to do and blah, blah, blah. You can see on the inside, I love how we look, right? I love that we all have our hands open to the ball. We're all clogging up important space. If they throw the ball to the backside, we'll either pick it off or get there. I feel good about all this. But the one thing, if you go forward slowly, Mike, right now where he shoots this from, we're ready to slide, but we just don't have an angle to. Does that make sense? Like, there's no way that we're going to really be able to slide there efficiently and effectively, whether it's from the top down or from the crease, however you want to do it. So I think this one's a product of where we were at in the season and us not using enough of our athletic IQ for that short stick to say, you know what, man, like, I know what coach told me to do, but I think that this one might be right. I want our guys to feel comfortable enough to do that. We got to the point, and I think they learned this lesson from that clip on Monday. But I think, like I said, just a product of where we were in the season, we hadn't gotten to that point yet. This was a goal that, you know, obviously you don't want to give up goals, but it was a clip that I was happy that we had to learn from, because it showed where some of that gray area was that we were talking about before.
Also, the guy like came up the hash, beat your goalie far side. Like, at some point he got recruited to Albany, you know, like they make plays too. They practice also. So
we want to dodge off of a horizontal pass. So right here, this guy does a great job testing his man. If you go back a second, Mike, you can see this defender that ends up getting dodged, who's covering number 13 right in front of us. We test this guy, square our shoulders. He's got to drop. Now that approach is so much tougher. He is not able to close space. We're immediately able to flip his hips, and now we're creating offense. And just because we were able to able to make that guy sink down a little bit. So one of our fundamentals that we always want to dodge off of a horizontal pass after testing it. But from here, I think we've got pretty good spacing. These guys react to him taking the middle of the field well, and now you can freeze it just for those couple seconds. Now we're playing odd man, right? Now we're playing for a few seconds. We want to have the principles where the ball's in and out of our stick quickly. We attack the middle of the field. This is a great find from JJ, definitely a little bit risky, but Jeff puts this off the pipe, and then, hey, there's our identity again. We want to win that run out. So,
well, if you see his stick head, you're throwing it, right? I mean, Jeff, you guys are talking about that with him?
Yeah, I mean, usually it's the other way around where you got to be ready to catch it from him, but at the same time too, he's going to be able to catch most things and get it off pretty quickly. But I think it was pretty good spacing from us on that one. And then, like we saw from that transition drill, all it is, draw, slide, and then take advantage of the space that you get.
So here it is again, horizontal dodge.
Yep. That one's not great though, right? You can see if you go back, you can tell he's kind of full of it here. He doesn't really go at him enough. And we even tell our guys too, like, Mike, like what you said before, if we can make it a 5-on-5, like, hell yeah, we'll do that. Right. Dodge right underneath them. You got to do it intelligently. You don't want to get checked from behind you, but you know, if you can make it a 5-on-5, you got one less guy to slide and recover with, so there's more space. But this one, I'd say, is a little bit of a half-assed version of it, but we still do it nonetheless. Take the middle of the field. Now again, we're playing 6-on-5.
Nice.
Oh, you love that.
Well, it's great too, especially because it's like, I mean, here's your fill. Like, if he dodges, like, a lot of times this backside guy is going to end up being your fill, and he's 25 yards away from it.
So right here, from this point, we draw a slide. We're playing odd man, right? They've got to get matched up before we move the ball, attack the space that you know that they need to defend. And if they don't defend, rarely you're going to be able to walk to the middle like that. But that one ended up being pretty good. That's John Donville. Johnny's the first out of the box for us. He's just so smart in the clear and always going to be able to handle the ball well. But that one, he just pushes it to Jeff. I mean, this is a transition principle for us. We want the ball with who are your highest IQ guys? Who are your highest skill guys? Your attackmen. Who do you want making the decision? So push the ball to them. And as midfielders, just run your ass off and cut, because there's likely always going to be somebody late behind you coming over the top. But you can see there's some guy coming out of the box.
Oh, yeah.
Intelligently cut the middle, not to clog up space and take away important space, but just draw attention to you. And then those attackmen, they'll find you if you're open. Like I said, rarely is Jeff going to miss a guy like that. But here's one where if we can make it a 4-on-4 or 5-on-5, great. I don't like the shot selection, and I think it's not the best in the world, but aggressive to the point where it's not detrimental to us. That's obviously a feel thing. I don't know if we felt that out as best as we ever have in this first quarter, but it's first game, man. We're going to have growing pains a little bit too.
It's also your identity though, right? I mean, it touches back to it. It's like, you're going to stick to your identity. Those guys were those short sticks were pressing out. So Piatelli took advantage of it. And
yeah, there was another example there. If you go back as they come over, just go back a little bit here. Right here is good. So not a necessarily 6-on-6 situation, but they bring 2 poles to the ball on this wing right here.
Go ahead. Yeah. He's thinking about it. Right.
And again, now, are we totally set up for this? No, but it's our identity. So that guy knows we're going to do it. He knows he's ready for it. And now we just wasted the first 15 seconds of their shot clock, which, hey man, like that's a really big deal. It's huge. Now they got to get it around, do their thing, get their guys on. We got an offensive guy stuck. We know what we're going to do. We're going to support him. He's going to recover in. We talk to him. We get another one here.
Hey, he's doing a good job keeping him on that side of the field too.
Yeah. Here's another example of how I think some of that big little play maybe hurt us. You can see that guy in the middle raising his hand. He's ready to go. I don't like our off-ball fundamentals here. We got guys not with their hips all open the same direction. But our on-ball play probably could be a little bit better. But he knows that he's supposed to direct the ball. He's expecting support. We don't get it. Not great, but we cover it up with an effort play at the end of this one. Gavin runs this out. So, again, not perfect from an X and O perspective.
Back it up.
Back it up.
The sideline gets fired up a little bit here, but
love it.
Look
at that ref.
This is where the name comes from right here, folks. Back it up. Very nice.
Boom.
When the sideline's fired up, I almost just threw my computer out the door. That's where I'm at.
Beautiful.
I hope if anything, like I said, we just try to be really clear with what our identity is, coach to it, stick to it. We're not perfect, man. We made multiple mistakes there, bad decisions from an X's and O perspective, but we are who we are. So
one thing I really liked is it looked like early in the clock on both ends of the field, you were making them work, right? It's like, we talk about that all the time. It's like body blows in a boxing match, right? Like you're not landing the haymaker, but you're making them guard for the first 20 seconds every time. You're making them run for their lives the first 20 seconds every time. And that's in the second half. Things blow open when you make people do that all game, every time, over and over and over. So I thought that was really impressive. Like you said, I think I'm still waiting to see the perfect college lacrosse game from any team in the country ever. But you can cover up mistakes by doing kind of all the little things over and over and over and over, and move the needle kind of in your direction. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Connor did a great job this year implementing that thought of we need to play offense for 80 seconds, right? We had teams doing every different defense to us with just having a unique piece of having Jeff on our team where we were getting shut off. We were getting, multiple guys shut off. We were getting shut off with a zone behind it. Like, if we can attack for 80 seconds, one, they're probably not as good as whatever they're trying to do as we are. That's the hope. But if we can put pressure on for 80 seconds, it's just going to be advantageous for us. And same thing defensively. We've always got our core fundamentals. We always know how we should be unified. But when we can, let's be the aggressor. Let's take advantage of the situations that we actually can. So. Yeah, man, it's again, we're not going to be perfect. We don't want to be, we just want to be us. So, that's a good way that I put it. I've yet to see a perfect college lacrosse game. So good point.
I like one of the beautiful things about the Ivy League is just the excitement. You start February 1st. These boys, you see how fired up they were, the Big Red during that first game of the season.
You got to stay warm on that sideline, dude. It's cold. You got to jump around somehow.
Well, I think what's unique is what's going on with your program right now. Like with Coach Milliman leaving, and you got probably one of the youngest staffs running one of the most storied programs in the country, which is really intriguing. I think it's interesting. I think it's unique, and I'm just curious from your guys' perspective. Like, are you guys what's your plan here? You guys want to just keep doing what you're doing and stick true to what has worked, or are you guys trying to be like, hey, like we're unique and different. Like we're gonna do something here that maybe is not, is not traditional in our league and maybe something that hasn't been seen before.
But you're both Big Red alums, right? So we're both Cornell guys, right? Okay.
So Connor and I graduated together. We lived together for 3 years in college, and then 2+ years after college. And
Wow.
as our work relationship is, it's the second most important relationship that we've got, man. I mean, he's one of my best friends and always will be. As far as your question goes, first and foremost, man, we're very grateful for the opportunity. This place has to grow up here. Everybody leaves home for the first time or goes to college and grows up in that time. To do it in this place and to be shaped by the people that I was here has definitely turned me into who I am. Very thankful for that. And then to do it a second time, in my opinion, honestly, probably one of the more impactful times of my life was that first, it wasn't my first job out of college, but that time after college where how do you figure out how to be an adult? What is life like? Who are you as an adult after college? And to grow up a second time here too, and again, be shaped by this place has been life-changing, definitely. And we're at both as alums feel like we're very, not just prepared for this, but very able and connected to this place in a way where, one, we're obviously passionate about it. Two, we feel like we know this place as well as anybody. And not to say that in a pompous way at all, but we've been through ups and downs here. We've been on at teams that are as good as have been at Cornell ever. We've been on some teams that were below our standard, and we feel like through those ups and downs, we've been through the adversity and the positives to know what is our best version of it. So it's going to look familiar. There's a blueprint to succeed at Cornell that has preceded us and that will be here long after we're gone, whenever that is. But it's going to be our version of it. And we're excited about the passion and connection to Cornell that we can bring. I think if anything, it'll be pretty similar to the past couple of years. I love Pete. I love what he did for me. I'm close with him. Will always be and appreciative for him bringing me back to Cornell. But Connor and I were a huge part of the way that we were running the program previously anyway. So we feel as ready as anybody, and in my opinion, more prepared than anybody to take this moving forward. We just want to honor this place in a way that reflects how passionate we are about it. So we're going to recruit the way that we always have, looking for people that fit our culture. We're going to coach the way that we have, like we've talked about previously, where we coach to our strengths. We coach to the toughness that we do our best to breed. And we're going to challenge our guys. But Corey, I mean, like I said to you previously, we need to love the guys as much as we challenge them, if not more. And I think that a way that we've been talking about it and a way that it's always been phrased to me is that you can't push somebody harder or challenge somebody more than your love for them can support. So I feel like our ability to communicate and connect with our current players and our future players and recruits is definitely aided and helped by our youth and our age, but also our connection to Cornell. So my favorite question, man, is people saying like, you're too young for this. How are you going to do it? Or you're too inexperienced for this. How are you going to do it? Like, the competitor in me wants to say like, F off. I got it. I know what I'm doing. But at the same time, I understand that question and I get it. So we know this place well. We're going to be true to ourselves, to what's made Cornell successful. Will it be perfect? No. Are we going to be the best staff in the country? I have no idea, but we're going to be the best staff for Cornell. So that's kind of long-winded answer to your question. I'm sure that you guys got some follow-up, but would definitely be interested to hear, Mike and John, what you guys have in terms of follow-up just as peers. I don't know, on that or just questions or whatnot.
I mean, I feel like this entire, hour plus we've spent with you has been very consistent in the messaging, right? Like identity is such a key point. And who better embodies that than guys that have spent their adult lives at Cornell, right? So to me, we used to always have a funny saying at Stevens Tech. Coach Bluso would always say, I don't care what your driver's license says. You could be 18 years old. If you're the best player, you're going to start. I'll apply that here. I don't think what your driver's license says matters a whole lot. It's all about the fit. And when I think of, programs in the country that have the best culture, Cornell's definitely one of them that comes to mind. So, Corey and I, we grew up with a guy that played at Cornell, and he values that place so much, David Lau, and he's the best. His dad played there. His like uncle played there. You know, like there's so much tradition with the program. So to me, I think, you know, for outsiders or people that really know nothing about the program, they might not totally understand it. You know, obviously my understanding is very limited, but I couldn't agree more with a lot of your points. I think it's so important to have the right people, not quote unquote the most established resume. You know, I don't think that matters as much in terms of what will actually yield the best results.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, sorry, Slip. Go ahead, bud.
You sure?
Well, I'd like to cut you off, but yeah, it's
I like to cut you off.
reaction.
Well, I was to your point. I mean, you're only going to get experience through opportunity, and so you've been graced with this awesome opportunity. You're obviously humbled by it. The way that you expressed the adversity you hit as a player, the good stuff, the bad stuff, you take all that, and that's part of your experience. It's part of your journey. And to John's point, what you've stayed true to this entire conversation is who you are, what your identity is, and you're not going to change that for anybody. And I think that's heavy and that's powerful. And it's really easy to get behind, right, and to follow, because, you know, only great leaders know how to follow, and you've obviously done both of them. So it's awesome. Congratulations. I think it's really cool. And I love to see the young bloods in our game, because there's a lot of older gentlemen who are fantastic coaches and have done it for a long time. But I think some of us young guys are ready, and I'm excited to see what you guys do. You know, I really am. Even though, you know, Lax Reference did have us beating you 15-6 on Twitter. And I am going to say it was because Coach Milliman must have left right before the game, and the guys were rattled, and the young bloods couldn't bring the guys up. So,
that is what you call a statistical ass kicking.
Yeah, stats are for losers, Jordan. That's for sure.
Stats don't win games, but they won that one. So
they did. It was funny.
No, I don't like letting compliments go by about Cornell and our culture and whatever my role is in that without saying thank you. So both you guys, I appreciate it.
Outside the lines turned into the Jordan Stevens tire pump fest, but I felt like it was.
I feel like I'm getting taller with every with every segment here. But what do you got?
I've never seen Slippo change for anyone besides his fiance.
Oh.
How you doing?
How you doing? That's funny. That's cool, Jordan. So are you in Ithaca right now, Jordan?
I am.
Do you hit the creeker at all?
So did you know Jimmy Case, Mike?
Yes. Yeah.
So, you know, he passed earlier this spring.
Oh, yeah.
It was really tough. That was his home base. That was his spot. So his birthday was last Friday. We went there with his family and just some people around it.
Welchie, everybody. Yeah, I'm sure.
Had a social distancing appropriate memorial for Jimmy. That was great, man. It was cool. But have been there before with him, and unfortunately we'll be there without him after it. But that guy's special, man. One of the people that makes Cornell and such a big impact on the lacrosse world in general.
Sorry, can you give me a little background here?
Yeah, so Jim Case was our athletic trainer for the last 33 years. He was the athletic trainer for a handful of Team USAs over the past years. I don't know if you guys are Placid frequenters, but he's the head athletic trainer for those guys for as long as that tournament's been around. He was one of the heads of the Summit Ventures, I think they call it, or whatever it might be. Just the best, man. Like, just obviously we all have support staff and people around us that make our lives easier and make it work. Excuse me. But Jim was always the most experienced guy in the room, but never talked to you and never communicated to you in a way that made you feel below him.
Right.
It's the best, man. Like, just so genuine. Treated me like a son from the time I got here as a snot-nosed 17-year-old kid, and all the way through this past year. His family's my family now, man. It's he as impactful of a person that I've had in my life, and definitely gonna miss him, but some good times with him.
Met him at the Creek House with Longman, and the stories he has about Richie Moran and those teams are like he's in the walls and he'll be there forever, no doubt. So
he was like, some athletic trainers are involved. Everybody's got their different level. Like, he legitimately was on our staff. He was he was a coach.
He was Richie's right-hand man, it seemed, you know? Yeah. So rest in peace. Oh, cool. Very cool.
Good person for sure.
Well, Jordan, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jordan. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out with us.
Yep. See ya.